Brunei has one of the highest incomes per capita in Asia, and they have no shortage of ways of spending their money. Brunei's billionaires know how to live the lavish lifestyle. Hassanal Bolkiah is the 29th Sultan of Brunei. With that title comes money. A lot of money. Bolkiah's net worth is $28 billion, and it's said that his fortune increases $147 every second. This makes him the second wealthiest royal in the world, behind the King of Thailand. That's some pretty good company. How Bolkiah spends his fortune is nothing short of impressive. For starters, he lives in the largest royal palace in the world, the Istana Nurul Iman Palace. Covering over 2 million square feet, the palace sports 1,788 rooms, 5 swimming pools, an air-conditioned pony stable, and a banquet hall that fits 5,000 guests. As if that wasn't showing off enough, the entire palace is decorated with fixtures made from gold and diamonds. The price of this behemoth is around $1.8 billion. Chump change for the Sultan. However, this is somehow only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the Sultan's luxurious spending. Because it seems required that rich people buy a bunch of fancy cars, the Sultan didn't want to be the exception. The man owns 7,000 cars, worth a combined $9 billion. In his collection, you'll find Rolls-Royces, Ferraris, Bentleys, Jaguars, Aston Martins, and Lamborghinis. Personally, I prefer a nice Honda with great gas mileage and safety rating. But just in case the Sultan feels like driving is too low class, he has a fleet of private planes, including a $138 million Airbus, a $251 million Boeing 767, and a custom Boeing 747 worth $431 million that is decorated with gold. That is the definition of overkill. Actually, I take that back, because the Sultan keeps finding ways to one-up himself. When he wants his haircut, he doesn't run down the street to the barber. Instead, a stylist is flown in by private jet and gives him a cut that costs $30,000. There is no way to justify that. The Sultan also likes to party, and he does so like no other. For his 50th birthday in 1996, he spent $36.9 million on 2 weeks of non-stop celebrations for himself. This included a polo match, a fancy gala dinner with beluga caviar, the most expensive in the world, and 3 performances from the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, for $25.8 million. And that's not the only time he got a giant musical talent to perform. When his son got married in 2004, he paid $10 million to have Whitney Houston sing at the reception. This dude definitely knows how to spend money. We can only wonder if he'll be able to top his already impressive spending resume. If he ever wants to send an invite to one of those multi-million-dollar parties my way, that would be greatly appreciated. Haji Al-Muhtadi Billah is the Crown Prince of Brunei, a pretty awesome title to have if you ask me. He is the son of the Sultan of Brunei we just talked about. So does he share the same kind of financial fortune as his father? Yeah. His net worth is $20 billion. When he was crowned as the prince, his father gave him a ceremonial dagger called the Keri Si Naga, a necessary piece to claim the throne. It is made of gold and has ruby eyes on the handle. I wonder what would happen if he lost it. And remember that wedding we mentioned where the Sultan hired Whitney Houston to perform? That was the Crown Prince's wedding, and he spared no expense. There were 2 weeks of prenuptial celebrations, followed by 3 days of ceremonies, concluded with a traditional Islamic wedding ceremony. After the ceremony, the prince and his wife took part in a giant procession through the streets of the capital. They rode in a golden Rolls-Royce that was followed by 103 limousines, and a marching band led the entire thing. That is one unforgettable wedding. What kind of gifts do you even bring to a wedding of that size? The late Prince Azim was the son of Sultan Bolkiah, and just like his father, his wealth was immense. His net worth was $5 billion, which somehow seems small compared to his dad and brother. But he knew exactly how to spend that money. Parties, parties, parties. Prince Azim was known for throwing massive, star-studded gatherings, and was dubbed the party-loving prince. In 2009, he threw the party of the year, which included, among 230 others, Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey, Sophia Loren, and Faye Dunaway. The flowers at this party alone reportedly cost $92,000. In 2012, he threw a Diva Fest party to celebrate his 30th birthday at the Dorchester, a 5-star luxury hotel. According to reports, the goodie bags at one of his parties were worth $26,000 each. They contained a voucher for a safari holiday in Kenya, a satellite navigation system, a brand new phone, an original oil painting, and a full dental makeover with a private dentist. My goodness. Being invited to this man's party is like winning the lottery. Shockingly, however, not all his money went to over-the-top parties. Prince Azim was actually an active charity activist. He was the guest of honor at the Seeing is Believing fundraiser, and was also one of the patrons at the UK Make-A-Wish Foundation. Prince Azim truly lived life to the fullest, and knew how to have a good time. Did I mention that he once tried to win the affection of Mariah Carrey by delivering a $5.7 million necklace to her by private jet? Yeah, good luck to all the guys that tried following that up. You already know that if you're related to the Sultan, you're gonna have some serious cash. Prince Jefri Bolkiah is the Sultan's brother, and he has lived a more loose and wild lifestyle than any of his family members. At one point, he was reportedly spending $50 million a month. He owned the obligatory car collection, totaling 2,300 vehicles, consisting of Bentleys, Ferraris, and Rolls-Royces. You know, the normal stuff. Of course, he also had to have 8 private jets and a helicopter. Now, Prince Bolkiah was a playboy, and wore that title on his sleeve. He bought the former Playboy Club in London for $34 million. If you want to know how bad this prince is with money, that $34 million was more than 4 times the market price for the club. It's like he's spending money just for the sake of spending it. He spent $1.3 million on erotic fountain pens, which I'll just leave up to your imagination. He spent $10 million on 8 jewel-encrusted watches that depicted couples getting intimate, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention his fleet of 5 boats, which included a yacht that he named after the human chest. I swear I'm not making any of this up. But wait, there's more. He also owned a collection of 5-star hotels, purchased the London jeweler Asprey for $385 million, bought a $7 million rug woven with gold thread and embroidered with jewels, paid $17 million for Michael Jackson to perform at his 50th birthday party, which just seems customary for this family at this point, and to add a cherry on top of all of this, he paid $1.5 million for a badminton coach. Because how embarrassing would it be if you were the prince and you got caught getting beat in badminton? If all this sounds like a ridiculously unsustainable level of spending, you would be correct. Bolkiah's high roller lifestyle came crashing down when authorities learned that Bolkiah had burned through $14.8 billion from a government oil investment that he was supposed to be overseeing. He was forced to give up all his assets to avoid prosecution, which included $200 million worth of diamonds. During the height of his extravagant spending spree, he was believed to have gone through more money than any other human on the face of the earth. That's gotta count for something. I wonder if it was all worth it. At the very least, they can't take away his badminton skills, and I see that as an absolute win. After hearing all about how the billionaires spend their money in Brunei, you may be wondering about the country itself. It's a Southeast Asian country with a population of around 430,000 people. Brunei is a very wealthy nation due to its oil and gas reserves, as the petroleum industry generates more than half of the country's GDP. This wealth benefits the citizens, as Brunei is a welfare state. This means the citizens receive a lot of important services for free, or at a very low cost. All citizens receive free education and free healthcare, which happens to be one of the best healthcare systems in Asia. And if you can't get medical treatment in the country, you'll be able to receive the required treatment overseas at the government's expense. Perhaps this is the reason that the death rate in Brunei is well below national average, and life expectancy is in the mid to upper 70s. We can definitely get on board with these benefits. Brunei has been ruled by the same family for the past 600 years. That's one impressive family business. Which Brunei billionaire do you think had the best use of their money? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to check out some of the other luxurious videos by the richest.